Hello and welcome in to the Fantasy Baseball Advice Show with Alec Pecado on Monday, June 24th. Today's show, we're going to go over my player of the night, my waiver wire ads, my players to stash, my best and worst hitter matchups, and some pep talk for some hitters. But let's get right into my player of the night from Fantasy Baseball this weekend. My player of the weekend, Kurt, and it is Guardian starting pitcher Carrasco. Turning back the clock, it seems, and he had a really good start this weekend. And he went 6 innings, gave up 4 hits, an earned run, no walks, 7 strikeouts. For me, personally, this is the best I've seen Carrasco look all season. Now, can he continue this upward trajectory? He's on the wrong side of 30, but that's saying a lot, but I think he can. And he's not on my waiver wire, but if you do need help pitching, I would add Mr. Carlos Carrasco to your roster. He'll get you 6 to 7 strikeouts. He may walk two or three batters. He's going to give up 1 or 2 earned runs. He's going to give up a lot of hits. But if the one key thing you're looking for with Carrasco is the innings, he'll get you that. He goes 5 or 6 innings consistently every start. And that's the big thing people need in fantasy baseball, is a guy that gives you 5 or 6 solid innings, and then he hands it over to the bullpen, and the bullpen finishes it off. Next, here's my waiver wire for pitchers. And these are all new guys that you haven't heard me talk about. One of them is Nick. The first guy on the waiver wire today is Reds pitcher Nick Martinez. Now, he's what they call a swing guy. He could be a starter or a reliever. He's spark eligible on most platforms. And he's only on ESPN. That's where I do my roster rates. And it's under 80%. Under 80% rostered. And he is 1.3% rostered. I think if you need help, and he'll get you strikeouts. He's not afraid to strike batters out. I think Nick Martinez needs to be added in a few more leagues. The next guy is A.J. Puck of the Marlins. Now, he is 15.7% rostered, and he started the year as a starting pitcher for the Marlins. But since coming back from injury, he's been working out of the bullpen. And I think that's the better spot for Mr. A.J. Puck. Now, he's not the closer right now, but I think once Tanner gets moved, you might see A.J. Puck and then pitching in the 9th inning for Miami. Take that what you will with a grain of salt, but I think A.J. Puck should be added in a bunch more leagues. The next guy is White Sox rookie starting pitcher Jonathan Cannon, 6.8% rostered, and he has been the surprise for the White Sox. We knew Drew Thorpe his teammate Drew Thorpe, we knew he was going to be up at some point, but Jonathan Cannon is the one that's more intriguing to me. Now, Thorpe might still be available in some leagues, but I would rather go for the guy that's got more upside. They both have upside, but I like Cannon's upside more than Thorpe. Cannon has the tendency to have games where he gets 8 or 9 strikeouts, maybe 10. He does, however, walk maybe 1 or 2 guys a game. And I mean, walks hurt you. He does give up 2 or 3 runs a game as well. But I don't mind having him as my 4th or 5th starter in my rotation in fantasy baseball. And then the last guy, there's something. He started on Friday against the Cubs, and he made the Cubs lineup look silly. Jose Quintana, 3.3% rostered. I think he's another guy that if you need help pitching, he's not an ace by any means necessary. He is not an ace, but I think if you need help pitching, because you're still waiting for DeGrom to come back. You lost Spencer Strider. You lost A.J. Smith-Shawver. You lost Shane McClanahan before the season. You lost Garrett Whitlock. You lost Jesus Luzardo. You lost Brian Bayo's one of your pitchers. He's struggling. I would feel comfortable enough picking up either Cannon or Quintana or Carlos Carrasco. Now we get to my 5 best hitter matchups for this week. And at number 5 is the Rays. They've got 6 games this week, all at home. 3 versus the Mariners, 3 versus the Nationals. Get your Rays in your lineup. Get your Rays in your fantasy baseball lineup. Now, the pitching matchups are out for that series against Seattle. They face Brian Wu, Logan Gilbert, and Luis Castillo. It goes Wu, Castillo, Gilbert. And I know the Mariners have a good pitching staff, but I still feel confident in the Rays. And on the other side, if you have any of Bradley, Taj Bradley, Zach Littell, or Ryan Pepio, I would feel ultra confident in starting them. Because the Mariners are woeful. They're horrible. They strike out a lot. My number 4 hitter matchup I like is the Reds. They've got 7 games this week. 3 at home against the Pirates, 4 at St. Louis. Division matchups for the Reds. Get your Reds in your lineup. And if you need streamers, I've got 2 that I'm going to tell you about right now. One is Jake Fraley, and the other one is Santiago Espinal. If you need streamers, those are 2 guys from the Reds I would consider streaming. Next is the Braves, and they've got a weird schedule this week. They've got 7 games. 3 at the Cardinals, 1 at the White Sox, 3 at home against the Pirates. Now, that game against the White Sox, that's a makeup game. I still like their matchups. Get your Braves in your lineup. They are starting to rate. Number 2 hitter matchups I like this week are the Diamondbacks. 6 games, 3 versus Twins, 3 versus the A's. The Twins, and if you have any Diamondbacks pitchers, I would start them this week against the Twins. The Twins are woeful. They're probably worse than the Mariners when it comes to hitting. So, I would stream your Diamondbacks. I would stream Tucker Barnhart because he is the primary catcher right now for the Diamondbacks with Gabriel Moreno on the injured list. And my number 1 hitter matchup I like this week is the Astros. Now, the only problem with this is they've got 5 games. 2 at the Rockies, 3 at the Mets. I like the matchup set, especially that 2-game set at Coors Field to start the week. 2 games at home against the Rockies. And I like that matchup for one reason. I think they're going to probably get Austin Gomber and Dakota Hudson. I don't know for a fact, but I'm predicting that's going to be the matchups that are going to go against the Astros. Now, here's the segment I like to call Pep Talk Hitters. 3 hitters that are really struggling. I was going to put Cedric Mullins on here, but he seems to be turning it around. We're going to start with Johnny DeLuca of the Rays. Over the last 30 games, he has been hitting .087. And with DeLuca, everybody says he's the whipping boy right now with the Rays. I don't believe that. I feel like he's really close to having a big game and turning his season around. There's two things he needs to do to fix that. One, he needs to cut down. He needs to be more selective with his eye at the plate. If a pitch is outside the zone, don't swing unless you feel like the umpire has been calling it a strike all game and you have to swing. But if the umpire hasn't called it a strike all game, don't swing. Let it be a ball, and maybe it's ball four, and you get a walk. That can always get you going. Look at what happened to Rosarena and Brandon Lau when I talked about them consistently. They started to hit. I mean, I know Lau has a broken pinky toe, but he's been hitting. I talked about him and Rosarena 3 times on the show. And look at them. They've been raking. They've been mashing of late. And I'm hoping the same thing happens to Johnny DeLuca. Now we get to Braves catcher Sean Murphy. Over his last 30 games, he's only hitting .204. And I understand what some people might say here is that Murphy is he's hitting over the Mendoza line. I understand that. But he's still struggling. It seems his power has gone away. Now with Murphy, he's an on-base savant. He gets on base a lot. I think what he needs to do is he needs to take what the pitcher gives him. If the pitcher's giving him a pitch outside the zone, take it the other way. If he's giving you an end, crowding you in on the plate, let him do that, because then you draw a walk. But don't chase. And then the last one is Rockies outfielder Nolan Jones, hitting .216 over his last 30 games. He's struggling since coming back from the injured list. And with Nolan Jones, I'm going to kind of go along with the same thing I said about Johnny DeLuca. You need to be patient. Patience is key at the plate. Nolan, be patient. If the pitcher's throwing a pitch inside the zone, take it the other way. Your home runs will start to come because you play in Colorado. And Colorado is a hitter-friendly park. 5 worst hitter matchups for me. And yes, you see another one is the Mets. And I know I messed up with the Mets. Okay, the Mets, that's supposed to say Yankees and Astros. I meant to put Astros on there. But we're going to start with the White Sox at number 5. At number 5, the White Sox, 7 games. 3 versus the Dodgers, 1 versus the Braves, and 3 versus the Rockies. Now, again, this is a weird schedule for 2 reasons. One, they have that makeup game with the Braves. That's the main reason on this side. And same with the Dodgers, even though the Dodgers are ransacked with injuries along the pitching front. But I still don't like the matchups for the White Sox. Next is the Rangers. 7-game week, 3 at the Brewers, 4 at the Orioles. I don't like these matchups at all for the Rangers. And I did originally have a Ranger on my hitter waiver wire, but I switched it. So I do not like these matchups for the Rangers, especially that 4-gamer in Baltimore. Number 3 hitter matchup I don't like is the Marlins. 7 games, 3 at Kansas City, 4 at Philadelphia. Now, call me crazy, but I would say get all of your Marlins out of your fantasy baseball lineup this week. And find other guys to stream if you need to. Number 2 is the Red Sox. 6 games this week, 3 at home against Toronto, 3 at home against the Padres. The reason I don't like these matchups is the Blue Jays. Their pitching is starting to kind of figure some stuff out. They go against Chris Bassett tonight. But I do have a stock in my waiver wire. If you need help in the outfield, you'll see in a minute who it is. And number one, I just spoke about the team. Mets have a 5-game week. They've got 2 versus the Yankees, 3 versus the Astros. I don't like those matchups for the Mets, but if you don't have an option, like in Francisco, I'm going to tell you this. The only guys I'd feel confident starting for the Mets in your fantasy baseball lineup are Pete Alonso, Mark Vientos, Francisco Alvarez, and Francisco Lindor. Those 4 guys. I would stay away from Marte. Number 2. So 6 guys. Those are the only 6 guys on the Mets I would feel confident starting. I'd stay away from Marte because he's hurt. McNeil, they're trying any way possible to not have him play. And now we got my stash rankings for fantasy baseball. At number 1 is Shane Baz. And I think it's only a matter of time before Baz does get called up back to the big leagues by the Rays. Because they're going to need pitching help at some point. We all know that. It's kind of obvious that the Rays are going to need some length. Their bullpen's been taxed. And I think it's a matter of time before Shane Baz gets recalled and goes into the rotation for maybe Aaron Savale. Number 2 is Max Meyer. And I thought with the injuries that happened in the Marlins rotation over the weekend, Braxton Garrett and Jesus Luzardo both going on the injured list, that Max Meyer would have been called up. But no. It was 2 guys I've never heard of. Number 3 is Jorge Polanco, Mariners second baseman. Now, I'm going to say all these guys, if you have, Baz, you can't really put in the IL because Baz and Meyer are not on the injured list. So if you stash them, you take up a bench spot. But Polanco is on the injured list. So if you need to stash him, you can and put him in your IL, and same with Josh Young of the Rangers. Now, here's my hitters waiver wire for fantasy baseball for today. Under 80% roster. Got 4 guys. One of them's a returning guy, but I'm going to start with Bryce Terrain. This is probably your last opportunity to get the Brewers second baseman. 76.3% roster. He does steal. He's a stolen base threat, and that's the main reason he's on here. We know everybody needs stolen bases. And he can get you those stolen bases. Number 2 is Cedric Mullins. 56.9% roster. It seems like he's figured out how to hit again. And that's a good thing. I think Mullins needs to be added in more leagues. Next is Red Sox outfielder Wilyer Abreu. It seems like Abreu is taking back over the everyday role that he had in the outfield, whether it be in right field or left field. And, Tyler O'Neill still plays on an everyday basis when he's healthy, but I would feel comfortable adding Wilyer Abreu. And the last one is my personal favorite ad for fantasy baseball this week. It is Athletics catcher / first baseman Tyler Soderstrom. He is striking out less and walking more. 12.2% roster. Go out and add Tyler Soderstrom. Now, ladies and gentlemen, update. We have another Fantasy Baseball Advice show tomorrow and then Thursday and Friday. And this is how it's going to go going forward. Thursdays and Fridays will be the Fourth and Long podcast. And then tomorrow at, I think, 10 in the morning, we will have another Rockies franchise episode. Episode number 2. And same thing with Thursday and Friday. Thursday and Friday, we will have Rockies franchise episodes. And Thursday night, we have another live reaction stream. But this time it's not the Tampa Bay Rays. It is the Cincinnati Reds. And that will be at 7:45 p.m. on Thursday. Also, just a heads up, I will be taking the Fourth and Long podcast on the road starting September 5th through the 9th this year and going forward. And I'll have some special sneak peeks on that trip of things I will be doing on that trip, as well as I'm still working on trying to get a hold of a couple college football content creators to collab with them. It's been a long, tough journey. Can I please get some help from my loyal supporters here on YouTube? Can we tag or mention GFed and CF Budge in the comment section of this video? It'd be helpful. But until tomorrow, goodbye!